So we'll give you something to analyze, and we'll come back to you guys and get your thoughts on it so far.
We might give you something to analyze. Who knows what happens in this series?
Well, we might not. I think for our perusal, we have an interesting matchup here because, look, it's basically a foregone conclusion that the Paris Eternal aren't really going to make play-ins. They can outside chance. They have to win out. They have to win out. To be fair, and I'll say this for them, it's nice for them now to come into the Overwatch League or come into this stage kind of on an even playing field because they, alongside every other team, have had to develop a response to what this metagame has provided. So they've had the same amount of time, in fact more than teams that have been to Toronto to try and come up with something here based on their sort of forewarning of what a patch would sort of look like. So I'm curious to see the fruits of their labor there. But an ex-Paris Eternal player is showing up on the other side of the field, Matt, of course. We should expect to see Mr. Khan here for London.
Well, I think when you talk about Paris, I wouldn't really judge these players like in the Overwatch League and just kind of their skill in comparison off of what we've seen thus far. We know they've had success in Tier 2. We've seen in little bits and pieces success here in the Overwatch League. But to come in the middle of the season into this type of scenario where your team has one win, I mean, come on now. Like, you can't expect them to just turn around and go undefeated right away and play that level. So I think you need to give these players a lot more slack, right? Coming into this type of situation is really difficult. And I think if you gave them a full off season, proper, kind of like the coaching over that period of time, I think they can definitely be much better than what we've seen.
For the foreseeable future, this may be our last matchup between two European franchises, Matthew. So we'll see if there's any chance of settling some grudges here. Now, these players obviously probably pretty familiar with one another. But the Paris Eternal are building towards next year. And with this roster, they're hoping to make an impact. So this year is all about getting used to match conditions and finding a way to start to gel here. And then they can hit the ground running. These matches are still important for this roster here, especially up against a team like the Spitfire, who's been known to frustrate even the best teams in metagames where, for example, you've been able to play Reinhardt, right? This London Spitfire team, everyone gets excited. It was a meme until it turned into something people just got genuinely excited about, is Hardy on the Reinhardt. I think Scott pointing out that Shax now has a place to come back in here and make an impact. Pretty incredible Tracer player. Was actually instrumental in Scott's Valiant's win against the Vancouver Titans at the height of their power. If you think way back, I think it's like 2019 now. So that's one really key game that Shax was involved in. He's looking to continue to make his mark here. Poco's still on the bench for now. But I think if we see like Circuit Royale, there's a good chance that he might get brought in. And bear in mind, Hardy's Junker Queen was also pretty darn solid as well. But I know everyone's excited to see the Ryan. We don't know yet if that's going to be the case.
I mean, for me, it's seeing Khan in the lineup today, right? First time with the London Spitfire. I mean, how could you not play him in this series, right? I mean, going up against the Paris Eternal, you got to let him get a little bit of revenge, right? So to speak. Seeing him come in. Also, this is something that we talked about when they picked him up, right? It allows them to, retire the bone back, right? No need to play backbone on support. All right, what we got going on here? We got some glasses shenanigans here.
Okay, all right.
Where's Khan's glasses? Khan, come on, where's his glasses? We can't have everybody with glasses, but they're all looking around.
Khan is a straight shooter, okay? He ain't here to mess around, I mean, it's his first game. I understand his teammates maybe, chilling, but he wants to sort of prove. He wants to hit the ground running.
I would appreciate this much more if they committed to this. I have no idea whether this is allowed via comp ops, so I'm not endorsing it. If they're allowed to play with sunglasses throughout the entire thing.
They got Google glasses on.
Can they play the entire series with sunglasses on? I would just love if we went to Landon's POV at one point and he's got his sunglasses on.
If they play the series with Sunny, okay, Compops might have
taking this match from outdoors.
What are they going to do, huh? London,
what?
Look at us cement themselves. What's Compops going to do? Ask nicely for them to remove their sunglasses? Come on,
we
have blue light. We have blue light shielding.
Ilios can be blaring at times, but please remove your sunglasses.
These guys have been practicing hard for this stage. The monitor lights may as well be the sun with how long they've had to spend in front of their PCs. That's probably the only form of light they've really had to deal with now is this London team, right? They're 11-7. A real play-ins prospect, even further than that. This is a team that started slow. Reinhardt got brought in. We got very excited about London. They've continued to improve now with a serious weapon in the back line being added.
You know what? Hadi has put in so much time and effort this season to obviously round out his tank pool. I think it is definitely showed off as, yeah, looks like at least here at the start, it'll be something a little bit different than what we saw yesterday. So it'll be Tracer Sombra with a Winston in play, Brig Ana backline, and Paris Eternal. They'll actually be running with the Baptiste Zen with a Diva here. So a little bit of a different look at some compositions today.
The game plan is dive the Hack's target for London. I mean, Hadi really wants to be wherever Sparker is to complete that kill, but there's an immortality field they're going to have to contend with every time they engage. So forcing that out is going to be pretty darn important if they want to make sure they can stick and not have Hadi get overextended in order to find a kill. Malthal here wants to contest the point somewhat. Now Krawi's going to have to come and help, but this could be an issue. Very low is the Diva. A lot of eyes turning in the direction of Krawi there as he tried to contest it. London get it for free, essentially. Carney's hacked, but Krawi's going to be forced away again. He's hacked.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is tough for Krawi as he tries to actually fly across the point to make a play. Gets hacked from behind, so stops midway, stuck on basically the point. Zoop, Hadi in a little bit too deep, and that's why you want the Bap Zen in this type of composition here for the Paris Eternal, right? They try and get aggressive onto the Zen. You have the immortality field there. Baptiste gets some extra damage here in this patch, and you're able to take out the tank.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we alluded to at the start of the round, right? That's the one thing that kind of messes up London's dive, and they probably want to try and force that immortality field out in some way early before Hadi makes a full commit. Fight like kind of breaks down a little bit there, and you know, I get it. They probably think that they can run over them with Krawi out of the picture, but yeah, slight overextension there. London have to respect Paris here.
Not a lot of great uses for the Amp Matrix here, though. Maybe it's like something that you kind of have either solo or just you and the Zen, where I think you have better uses for the Nano Boost here from the London Spitfire.
Oh my, Rack Attack just disintegrated there. Sparky hit the whole backline with that EMP, and you can see that Shax and Hadi were all there. This is a team pretty darn coordinated, hard to deal with the London Spitfire when they get their ducks in a row. They've got some catching up to do, though, as Paris were able to sneak in after that unforced error.
Not a ton of counterplay there, where that EMP comes through and the supposed supports are hit by it.
What do you prescribe, Doctor?
Go again. Just get some go again on it, and you'll be fine. As that's what they're going to have to do. As though Wub has his own EMP, so maybe you can actually just flip this back rather quickly. As this has been a pretty close round.
Shax wants to play forward and constantly keep chipping the paint on Krawi's mech. He's headed back towards the back line, so Shax says, right, no peel here via those rocket boosters. Let's get busy. Wub gets picked off here. He tried to make something happen in the back line. He got a hack onto Khan, and Krawi was there. But maybe the lack of Malthal, who was busy maybe trying to keep tabs on Shax or something else, meant that the Eternals dive just nothing.
And that's brutal for Paris, right? Amp Matrix used. Okay, so we're going to see some more changes. So, yeah, you had Amp Matrix used, Transcendence, and also the EMP. So, now you have Luka Mina go over to the Zen and Rack Attack on the break. So, playing a little bit more of a defensive backline here. You're not really focused on trying to keep, obviously, your targets alive for long. You just, you know, big damage burst players down. Nice.
Shax tried to pulse. Yeah, that's nice. Looks from Krawi able to eat up that pulse. Hadi now, just jockeying back, but it's a stick on Khan. He's not going to survive that one. Shax was hacked briefly, but he's actually able to recall just in time. But the pressure's now on for the Paris Eternal. London happy enough to concede here as they were very close to sort of winning the round. And I wonder if seeing the Brig Zen here, Matt, changes the way Krawi has to play. Can he be nearly as aggressive?
I don't think so. You just lack a lot of healing, right? I think you're waiting and almost kind of expecting the dive to come in from London and then playing defensive, but you're going to lose Wub and Malthal. That's you didn't even have to use the Nano to get these kills, too.
Oh, and Hadi gets the Nano boost. In he goes. Luke Mino with Krawi trying to back away here. We saw Rack Attack with a backwards shield bash. That's when you know they're trying to get out of dodge. He's going to bubble that. Oh, does he get it? Looks like it. Hardy's able to break line of sight either way, so it doesn't quite matter. That's throwbacks to old, that's some Juicer Gaming. XQC showed us that bubble on the mech trick a while back. Krawi desuited. Wub in trouble as well as Sparky's just going to round the corner and start plugging them here with the Uzi. Sparky just getting free reign on the point for the time being now, and London controlled it. So it's really Paris's game to lose here if they step off. Luke Mino, has the Transcendence. He doesn't want to use it right now. It's less than ideal, but he needs to shrug off the hack and needs to get busy with the rest of his team. London, take their time. Hardy actually allows the point to be flipped here.
Yes, they're not able to contest it for that much longer, so now with the flip over to Paris, they have a real chance here, Mitch. You have this EMP back online again.
Wub needs to connect. There it is, and he links up with Crowie. That's exactly what you're looking for. Somehow Shax is still able to punish Luke Mino, and the dive for the London Spitfire is almost as effective. They get 2, but it should be the Paris Eternal walking away with this one and making this a pretty darn close round now. Luke Mino switch over towards Lucio. His time is short. Obviously no prospect of a sound barrier here as the London Spitfire come in and a pulse bomb. Rally could be difference makers.
The rally for both teams is coming online rather quickly. Is this going to have to be a touch here for London as kind of turned here late in favor of the Paris Eternal?
Jax needs to connect this one. He's worried about getting hacked though and getting caught out in the open. He gets the stick despite the defense matrix being in play. Steal, nurse from the man, and able to get a lot of damage on Crow, but it's going to be healed up pretty quickly. Rack attack forced to play for the Vestiges. It's going to be a biotic grenade dropped on him. That's right, Khan finds the perfect target. Kind of shuts the rally down, and Landon's able to wave the flag. It's not a white one, though, as the London Spitfire are digging their claws in. Close round, good fight in a solid contest. The London Spitfire will take it.
Yeah, you think now with some time you actually see Paris Eternal looking way more organized and together, especially with a little bit of a meta change as you know, they almost upset the London Spitfire there in our first round, but London able to take it at the end with some changes coming from really the Paris Eternal throughout. As looks like maybe some more changes here is Luke Mino still on the Lucio. Lucio Brig with the Echo is a kind of an awkward spot to be in.
There's no way this thing with this is not a bloody chance.
Yeah, you get the Ana Brig with like Echo Tracer is a possibility, right? I think we saw some Echo Tracer yesterday from the Atlanta Reign. It was really successful. We'll see. Looks
Comfort
like
pick here for Wub, Matt.
Yep, yeah, and this is a good comp from the Paris Eternal. A little bit different than what we saw. I think the Atlanta Reign ran it, you know, with the Diva at times, but I believe they were running it, you know, potentially even with the Orisa, if I remember correctly from yesterday. But still, the Echo, when we saw it from the Atlanta Reign yesterday, very effective.
All right. Again, it's a matter of whether Diva or Winston has more impact on the counter dive. As Bob's going to go over the top here. You see Crowie go straight in. Immediately here a shield bash as Landon steps up. Gonna shield Khan away, and Mouthful is actually going down here. So bit of a dodgy dive for Paris as they tried to start things off. Now it gets a little scary. Paris are not fully disengaged, so if there's any sort of stagger here, it could be dangerous. Mouthful obviously triple blinking as fast as he can to get back to the fight, but Sparker obviously can see low health targets through walls. He knows where Wub is just because he was low.
So they leave him.
Just in case.
Oh, yeah.
Well, can't do too much from over there. Eventually, though, once he gets to the back line, it could be a problem. But they know he's coming. They knew it the whole time. Wub maybe not aware of this. He just, gets his wing clipped and gets dragged down.
So one thing you can also look at here is Shax picks up Malthal as London just getting really aggressive, pushing into the spawn. So what they've been doing a really nice job of is they've been hacking Crowie as he comes in, and then right after that, hitting him with a biotic grenade. So he not only hacks where he loses, because you lose his defense matrix ability, right? Then now he's also anti-healed, and he can't really get out. And
so it makes Khan useless.
Putting a ton of pressure on the Paris Eternal.
It makes Luke Mino, useless if he can't really do much else than try and heal from across the map. Hardy got anti, but he's just straight chilling. Gonna wait around the bubble here. Back up slightly. Primal has to be used here. Focusing beam, I know what Wub had in mind, but Hardy was ready to answer that. Oh, Malthal! He's not able to blink out. He just gets caught by a mean left hook from Hardy. I think that's far from done. Crowie realizing without frontliners, there is no point. And the Paris Eternal turn tail.
I mean, you can see though from Hardy's play on Winston and some of these other tanks that at the beginning of the season we were talking like not really they're the best out, right? Like just the improvements. Right there, the Primal is used as like an emergency, right? Because he's so weak in getting with the focusing theme. And just to get the more health to get back up so it's not doing as much damage. But he's able to actually turn that into 2 eliminations, right? He gets the one on the Tracer and then puts Wub in a terrible spot to lead to the kill on the Echo. You just see the kind of the evolution of Hardy as a player.
Tough for Malthal. Obviously wanted to blink through the door, and I think he was just unable to stick it. London, this is virtually spawn camping here. EMP, Crowie, nowhere to go, no choice but to stand and fight. Will be desuited. Self-destruct to try and refresh that mech and get to the point quickly as Wub's able to find Shax. Hardy spots Malthal across the point. Sees, oh my god, the guy! He just shielded that bio-nade. Perfect read from Hardy. Wub now duplicating, probably primarily for access to that biotic grenade. Has that denied him. Another one here, sure, might be annoying for Hardy, but it's not the team-wide one he was hoping for. 99% to 15 now as Paris trying to push the Spitfire away, and I think they'll be happy enough with a calculated retreat.
Yeah, it was interested in what like London's plan was here. You know, they fall back to Landon, it looks like, and I was wondering if he was actually going to end up using the rally and everybody coming back in, but he actually ends up like trying to step up onto the point, which is, I mean, they've already given it up, right? Contesting it doesn't really do much of anything at that point. We just need to go back and reset with the team. So some nice shots there from Love. Take Shax down to basically nothing.
Crowley's able to break the hack there, but Shax still wants to push away and force that defense matrix resource. Shax had so many options for a pulse bomb there, but he's against all of them. So calculated and patient here. He might be looking to shut the Diva down. Makes sense. Crowley gonna go low. Immortality Field was removed by that pulse bomb, but still good damage done. Mouthful doubles back for the mega health pack here, but a few of his teammates are in need of that kind of administration as well. Hardy has Primal, can't close to a Nano, so it'll be Primal into Nano Winston potentially. That's already half of Paris to deal with. Point will get flipped here if they're not careful. Crowley trying to make use of that amplification matrix as Hardy is the cat amongst the pigeons.
Yes, Maltho's the one contesting the point, and the EMP comes in, and right away, Shax with some help, able to get both supports. Wub falls, as it was a really good contest here from the Paris Eternal, but it just seems like maybe a little bit too much here from London.
Yeah, I think that's going to be that here. The Eternal may have a stall here via Lucamino, and yes, they get that overtime. It'll be Rack Attack has the shield bash forward here onto the point, which is never ideal. They've lost to Lucio, and it will be a bite of grenade on Crowley and Rack Attack respectively. Make it nigh impossible for them to contest. Wub can come through from the right-hand side, maybe hope for an instant kill, but really, this ship has well and truly sailed for the Paris Eternal. It's a matter of cleanup. I've got to say, Matt, this is a team, look, they look pretty comfortable on these kind of heroes. Not a terrible meta for them, but the Spitfire are, as always, a step ahead.
Yeah, the Spitfire obviously take care of business here in map number 1. I thought the Paris Eternal, that was some of the best we've seen them play in a very long time, and I think it's because now you've given these players an opportunity to adjust, to get used to the kind of nature of the Overwatch League and just kind of the pace of the game here and some of the teams and just kind of comps, where I think you're going to see much better showing from them based off of this in this tournament.
London Spitfire, though, start on the right foot with a Winston composition from Hardy. It looks pretty solid. Shax back in the mix has been impactful, and of course, Khan is always deadly, no matter what colors he's wearing. Look out, Overwatch League. The London Spitfire are here to play in this Countdown Cup. But first of all, they're playing up against the Eternal. Stick around for map 2, everybody, right after this. As expected, a strong start for the London Spitfire heading into the Countdown Cup, as it is a metagame that suits them rather well, especially players that, you know, prior to this were sat on the bench waiting for their chance to shine. One of them who sat in map number 1 is Backbone, and he comes in here for map number 2. Might mean that we're getting a bit of Genji flavor, and he has his own Sunnies as well. Love to see it.
Yes, we'll see what they have him play here in this second map here on Eichenwald. Maybe now you kind of think about Shaxx on Sombra now with Backbone on Genji for, you know, some high ground control possibly. Let's see what they decide to do. I think, like you kind of said, you know, that London started off well, and it's not really that much of a surprise. I'm more surprised about, you know, Paris Eternal, right? This is a team that I know 1-17. These players, for the most part, not responsible for the 1-17, right? They're responsible for some in the 17 call. You know, they're responsible for some, but not all, right?
Not a lot of them. The vast majority are not their fault. No.
Yeah. Not at all. And they look to have a really good performance there at map number 1, where this may be a much closer series than I think any of us anticipated here coming into today.
Yeah, I mean, it might even have, we don't really know this, of course, but as far as how close they played the Spitfire, it might even be above league average performance from the Paris Eternal.
Yeah,
first map.
absolutely.
It's an eye test result, though, so just take it with a pinch of salt. Was pretty impressed with, you know, Paris Eternal, obviously in the DPS role, and Krawi has a tough job there, obviously constantly being that hack target and having to still be able to peel back for his team, and we actually saw him have to sort of change his approach a couple of times, and that was signified by a you know, shuffle of supports, right? That went from like Brig, Ana to Zen Brig, and you know, sort of more defensive slant from the Paris in that Ruins round. Okay.
The Malthol just described his mouse as musty. I've never,
ladies and gentlemen, the very finest from coming up from Overwatch contenders over the last couple of years now.
I have never used that word to describe a mouse
musty.
Before.
We broke the ball. Okay,
well,
game time now
like
is the Eternal coming out on the Orisa, Matthew.
Yeah, we saw a lot of this yesterday. Some poor results early on, but as the day went on, and I think the Atlanta Reign showed definitely a pick that can be powerful in the right hands. As you have Wub on the Hanzo here, so interesting that you go with the Hanzo pick. Good for some long-range damage. Hottie just eats a spear to the face.
That's just one way to say hello, isn't it? My God.
Yeah.
Krawi dispenses with the pleasantries here. Javelin spinners, he tries to create a bit of space. He's trying to get it so his team can set up behind the broken tank module there. He's done his job. This is what Orisa can do. Shaxx is able to pick up Wub in the backline. So now in a longer fight here, Paris, yeah, getting a little bit uncomfortable. Krawi pressuring Khan down. He's definitely managed to get himself into the cookie jar here, but he's being ignored, completely ignored.
Yeah.
But that may work against the Spitfire here. We'll see.
You see how much though Orisa's playstyle changes, right? In
so
Overwatch
scary.
1, in Overwatch 1, obviously used just kind of very stationary. I remember in the early alpha, right? Which is like I think kind of more of like this variation of Orisa.
Sure.
Like playing against False and see him coming like a flank and stuff, and like when Orisa gets in the mix and can just kind of like battle it out with the spinning spear to deflect some damage. You know, obviously the spear to pin on a much lower cooldown now. She can be pretty devastating and tough to deal with.
Shout out to False, mix me up with Reinforce, 1-9 in Toronto, very flattering.
That's easy to do.
Yeah, sure. Mouthful there, putting on the pressure from the back line, and eventually the Paris Eternal, I mean, they're sowing utter disarray here. Backbone, rather, is able to drag Wub down. The question is, where's Hottie operating at the moment? They're not able to do too much from where he is, so checkpoint taken by Paris here is this very in-your-face brawl-style setup. Works pretty well.
And can you play like the Winston into this, right? Landon making the change here over to the Zen. So you feel like you still want to play this Winston. You need a little bit more kind of like damage output, right? To deal with some of these characters, specifically like the Orisa is just so sturdy, I believe Danny Lim used yesterday.
Yeah, sturdy. Yeah, that's right.
And you kind of mix that with the Brig and then the Immortality Field.
Oh,
very difficult
Surge!
to go in on. Oh,
okay. Landon got nanoed there. Hardy eventually able to take Krawi down. He's thinking, oh, hang on, did I just try and solo ult the enemy team? No, I did. What a fever dream.
He got like bioed instantly. He was like very dead there. As I still think that's like the one part of her kit that I think people are obviously still trying to figure out how to use effectively is like the Terra Surge, right? Kind of like yoinks players in. I think the longer it holds, like a little bit more damage output. Big EMP here.
Wow. It's nicely done. Very disruptive, and yeah, Shax is able to find one. Here come the Flying Fists. Krawi is going to be sectioned off for the rest of his team as he has found himself, for the most part here, hacked from behind. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of damage.
He's hacked and taken that much damage, extra, and they're not able to deal with him. I mean, I thought Lucamino had a really good fight there. The Immortality Field able to keep people alive through the EMP, and then right there, Amp Matrix able to keep Krawi alive. Oh, not able to keep him alive there. He attacked in bioed.
But somehow getting landed, though, that lack of mobility. I mean, when Landon gets caught up on the bridge or inside the castle, it's unclear which it is to the Spitfire commit. They drop down on Wub, and Mouth is going to be hit with a Bionic Grenade that's going to be forcing a recall here. Rakataks rally and try and send him and his 3 teammates forward, but Hardy gets away with that one. Not quite. Lucamino, nicely done. I don't know how he found those shots there, but Baptiste able to connect. And now the London Spitfire in a bit of a weird spot here, backing away, getting ready for another offensive play.
And I like the switch to the D.Va here. Lets you control the high ground a little bit more. You saw Hardy constantly being able to control that high ground.
Right?
Yeah. In previous tournaments, right? Not in the Summer Showdown, but...
I feel like Hardy might prefer that here. I mean, you know why the Spitfire switched to the Zen, right? So they had to poke the Orisa down. So maybe their composition's not so optimized for dealing with D.Va right now. It's, maybe having a Brig to farm easy whip shot and Inspire healing off of might be better. But Lucamino's Immortality Field is down. The Pulse Bomb finds its mark, or so we suspect.
The Biotic Grenades from Khan have been on point. Yeah, he gets, another Biotic Grenade this time on the Cry yet again. So able to hit a few big Biotic Grenades. I tell you what, though, pretty good, all things considered, from the Paris Eternal, right? Big ultimates invested with the London Spitfire, with like, EMP and the like, and they're still able to kind of keep the cart moving. Gaining a ton of progress here with a minute and 35. Pretty close. Maybe like one more fight here on this bridge to be able to take this second checkpoint.
I mean, Paris, the only way they had to get value out of Orisa on this part of the map was running into the Spitfire setup on a high ground. Just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? I don't think we really need to explain why it's a little weak against a high ground comp. But having the D.Va here means you play a little slower, you play a bit more team-oriented. Look at the defense matrix cone given to Malthus so he can actually safely play towards his own front line. Pulse Bomb is good. Hardy, we were so close to having the Primal Rage, and Landon clearly not intending to... Okay, I guess he was intending to Transcendence, just not to keep Hardy alive. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Landon staying fit for the time being, and Backbone just shreds through Lucamino on the carp. But yeah, that backline after the Transcendence, a bizarre Transcendence, might I say, because they didn't use it to reposition map. They used it to try and stand and fight up there. No. 2v3, I think it was.
Yeah, very odd. Is Hardy playing off to the side here, trying to take as little damage as possible, and then wants to use the Primal, but it may not even be necessary. Oh no, he ends up propping it there right as the EMP goes off. You probably almost didn't even need it. Maybe you needed just for the health to be able to stay alive, but looks like they pushed them all the way back. As I think Backbone and Khan have did a great job in really making Cry's life so difficult in the hacks of the tank, or whether it's Lucamino, and then followed up by the Biotic Grenades have been massive.
So what now for the Eternal? Tough to get value out of this Amp Matrix. Here's a Dragon Strike. Okay, through the castle, primarily. Decent amount of damage on Backbone there. Looks like he's struggling somewhat. Shax's trying to do it with the D.Va. It's going to be Hardy that gets the nano boost here. There's an Amp Matrix. Goes up on the side. Krawi desuited though. Self-destruct here, you'd think. Shax's able to LOS that for the most part, but takes a fairly big lick of damage. Might have been a whip shot that sent him backwards there. Hardy is
controlling.
They got to
get back and help Shax. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, Hardy, I think, was controlling Luke Mino's position, just trying to keep him away from the fight, I think. He eventually has to come and contest, but Malthus' pulse bomb missing there is pretty much, yeah, the death knell for the Eternal on the attacking side. Not bad, Matt, but they really ran out of steam after that Orisa comp sort of started to show its weaknesses.
I mean, at one point there, London had Shax on the cart to contest, and he was going up against like a rallying Brig and I believe one other player there.
There's a Diva there. Yeah.
Yeah, not able to deal with Shax. Is being able to stay alive through that. It's massive. It allows everybody else to kind of like roam around, pick up some kills. Hottie was up on the high ground forever. Doesn't have to go back to contest. So
I mean, Shax didn't die
on the Tracer
at all that round.
Yeah, I mean, not surprising. He's so good on the Tracer and so consistent that you think like any meta that Tracer's going to be relatively strong, you know, the London Spitfire are going to be pretty good at, pretty competitive.
A lot of pressure on Wub in this last round. I think Wub is actually accounts for almost a third of Paris's deaths in that round. Obviously on the Hanzo getting pressured down by Shax and Backbone quite frequently. Really hard to see that Hanzo actually have, you know, as much impact as he would have liked to. As London don't really sign the social contract, the agreement to allow Wub to just play from the outsides of the fight and just sort of focus and tunnel the Diva or Orisa, as it were. So good awareness, London. Know where the real threats are. I mean, it was pretty blatant how much they were ignoring Krawi when they were defending.
Oh, without a doubt. So we still, you know, seeing Backbone come in here for map number 2, right? Playing a lot of the Sombra. Wonder if there's another kind of composition they may potentially be looking at as we're gonna see the Hottie ball here. What are we seeing here? Shax go back and make a change. So landed on the Ana this time. Yeah, and they'll play the Wrecking Ball here. So
I thought this would be Kellen, but Hardy Ball was actually something we saw a lot last year, and he really had to work on this. I mean, talking to Nuki, he was like, I mean, the work rate from Hardy just to sort of get comfortable on Wrecking Ball was really quite absurd.
This does put Khan on the Zen, which we know how good he's been on the Zen, you know, for the Paris Eternal in the past. And look at this, they're just trying to like set up and execute a dive here with this ball up on the high ground.
Hardy, B-roll and Immortality Field there used as Krawi was hacked. Hardy will wait for this Discord Orb to expire, and then he'll go for another crack here. So definitely a big mobility advantage here for the Spitfire. Krawi, while he has a speed boost, it's only conditional, it's short duration.
They're not able to get like a hack on any of the targets there, so weren't able to collapse on anybody. And that time Khan ends up a little bit closer to the high ground and he gets taken out.
Krawi hacked there, so he actually got his javelin spin interrupted, then Biotic Grenade here. Interesting idea from the Spitfire. You can see the Hardy's hoping to flank around and get a nice pile driver. You'd think on where the supports are standing, not where sort of Wub was playing from. Wub seems unperturbed right now. Easy shot on Shax.
Yeah, and they were able to pick up Khan before, so the Hanzo paying off, not able to really pressure Wub at all as he's able to pick up these early first kills.
This means what? The only tank we haven't seen the last couple of days would be Ryan, right?
And Roadhog.
Roadhog, of course. How could I forget? My God.
Yeah. The solo Q special Roadhog.
Here's Air Matrix, so Hardy might have to respect this. Pulse there left on Krawi, but he fortifies. Backbone's able to get rid of Malthus, though, winning that matchup. Not easy to do as a Sombra, I suppose. Here's the pile drive. We actually managed to catch the Baptiste there, but we'll only create some space. Now, the idea is to make it so Krawi can't be kept alive. But the Fortify, that's nasty stuff. Eventually, they drag the horse down.
It's got to be scary for Lugamito to look at as a nanoed Wrecking Ball flying through the air right at him. Like a missile is Hottie getting close to those mines, and then they'll have an EMP. So, look, I think pretty decent defense from the Paris Eternal, all things considered. Like, this is a composition that don't know how much practice they have playing against. And they'll stay on the Orisa here. They'll play the Orisa. They're coming on with some pretty big ultimates. So they're not out of this, right? They had a pretty good push here, almost getting checkpoint B. So they have some time to work with.
Translocator spot there, interesting for Backbone, assuming Malthus won't come across it on his flanking travels. Wub just gets that pick off there for the high ground. Khan down, means that the Spitfire are looking to reset for now. Building up to some big ultimates, both teams. This next fight is going to be pretty fruity.
And can you just avoid Cry? Is that kind of like your goal here if you're London, right? Like if he's going to play on the low ground by the payload.
Ooh, that's going to hurt the morning! Oh, it was all of a sudden, Matthew, this one gets turned on its head. Yeah, Transcendence for Rack Attack. Yeah, that's brutal stuff. Shax is Shax is like the guy in the ad with like the tape that's supposed to fix a leak in the tank. Slaps that thing on and just sends the Zen packing. And oh my, Paris just got obliterated.
Yeah, and Rack Attack's going to switch over to the Brig now. Not going to be playing the Zen as a little bit squishy when you're going up against this composition, right? With like hacks, EMPs, the Wrecking Ball, the Zen, like a lot of burst damage potential here from the London Spitfire.
I want to point out that Landon's on the Anakan on the Zen here. Another one of his really, really nasty picks. No need for Bone back to come in here. Landon, however, looks like it's pin the Javelin on the Ana at the time.
So yeah, I mean, it's huge to get this early first pick off. That Minefield's going to get them down from the high ground here. So they're also going to lose Rack Attack again as Lucamino's going to be forced to use an Air Matrix, and he's going to get one through it.
Oh my god! Okay, Backbone had to translocate out of that one, otherwise he was going to get sparted. All right, Krawi speed boosts himself here, trying to control the castle. So much of Orissa's plan here, Matt, is to try and garner attention, give your opponents a reason to actually want to pay you any notice.
With this kind of composition, though, can you just avoid the Orisa? Like, I think now it's a much better setup as Wub gets a pick on the Landon. You're playing around the Orisa, right? Before, when they had it on the low ground, they were able to just access the high ground. And
that's dirty!
Yeah, that's
nasty. He knew that. This is what I was saying about the sort of translocator positioning for Backbone. Nicely done there. Malfoy able to read that. So I feel like Wub's getting a little bit too much free damage done here, Matthew.
I mean, he's just being able to get these pick-off headshots from range, right? Which, like, Hanzo, you know, you can do that, right? Just kind of coming around a corner, being able to just pick somebody off.
Alley-oop. Hardy trying to pressure the Hanzo position there. Mouthful spots Shaq. Back on the cart here. As London trying to inch this forward, their composition seems fine. A little awkward in some senses in terms of getting everybody in the right place. A little bit of split here. Hardy gets nanoed once more. Yep. Khan has the Transcendence in here. Mouthful communicating that to the rest of his team here. Terra Surge, Hardy rolls on out of it. Now up to the bridge, he sees a couple of players looking pretty juicy as morsels. And Wub got picked off by Khan already. Always a threat on that Zen. Lucamino, yeah, showing off that increased damage from Baptiste. See, it's going to be enough for the Paris Eternal as Hardy, for the time being, is just trying to hold position on the card here, maybe buy some time for the rest of his teammates. But this is awkward. Very awkward stuff from London. They get the Baptiste, though, Matt. Landon's in deep trouble.
Landon's a lot of trouble as they do end up getting Lucamino, but he provides enough damage and healing to keep enough players alive for Paris to hold here, as potentially steal the second map.
Orisa are on the verge of winning yet another map in the Overwatch League, and Krawi hasn't really shifted. Changed heroes on this defensive half. It's been tough for the Spitfire to deal with, but that's an EMP there onto the front line. Bub's going to fall first, but it's traded. Krawi has so much damage to offer, and it's all delivered to Backbone's cranium. Lucamino knocked up there by the pole driver, but Hardy thinks twice about trying to stick around. Has to be Shax to contest for now. Rack Attack will go back to the card. Ignore Hardy. He'll have to return one way or another now, and Malthor, another pulse bomb will be huge. The last one was transcendenced off by Khan, but it did strike true. Malthor knows if he gets enough damage here on Hardy, it would be an insta-kill. Still in overtime, Pulse Bomb a little bit wayward there as Backbone. We didn't really mention the Soldier 76 pick coming out. Rack Attack is down to Shax. He finds purchase with that Pulse Bomb, but Mouthful is able to work Khan down eventually. A lot of pressure onto the back line of the Spitfire. And now it's Hardy having to contest with that Immortality Field. Landon trying to play from the back, but it's going to be tough to heal Hardy consistently.
Landon got one.
He got one. He's looking for another as well. Krawi's seen better days. Terra Surge and now a knock off. Hardy able to use some nice tech to stay up there as the pile driver keeps him alive for now. Again, every time he dodges his enemies, he's also dodging Landon's healing. He just needs to buy time, Matt.
Landon's got an Ant Matrix here coming online. He's going to have a great alley to shoot from.
Immortality Field on the backside. Hardy gets skewered there by that Javelin. And Krawi now wants to surge forward, but knows he needs to wait a little bit. There's a lot of damage on the table right now for the Spitfire, but here it is, Mouthful's down. The Baptiste is missing for the Eternal. Safely, Lucamino trying to get damage here, but the Transcendence is popped by Khan again. Shax trying to contest the card here as Krawi might have to turn around in just a moment. The Discord all making his life hard.
Here comes
Khan
Hardy.
gets rid of the Zen. Oh, Khan! He's got another one! Rack Attack falls, and now Krawi trying to deal with everybody surrounding him, but still, in a 2v3, he's being ignored. The pressure now is going to be on to see Lucamino so low. low in the background. Crowy eventually is down to the London Spitfire. They're going to break through somehow in a 2v5. They buy enough time. Here comes a pile driver. Wob going to get burned to the ground, and the Paris Eternal absolutely fuming. This one got away.
Oh, that is a gut punch there, as Paris played so good on defense. But what maybe the longest fight in OWL history outside of GOATS happens here on the bridge is really, Shaq's able to contest for as long as he did there was unbelievable. Hottie's still in the action. I thought Landon switching over to the Batiste, right, and getting the Ant Matrix and being able to use the Immortality Field in like a 2v3, 2v4 at times. Just sick stuff there from the London Spitfire to battle back in map number 2.
Yeah, pretty insane stuff. Great fight there. Love the interplay between Hardy and Leonard in those final moments of the London Spitfire, showing us some more of that individual flair. And a wrecking ball win as well. Love to see it now as the series goes to 2-0. Let's see what the next map has in store for us. Paris are going to need to come up with something a little more effective.
to open this one up. Somehow Lucamino boots Astra off the map. Oh, kill me! No, please! They got the rally, they got the help, and they're going to collect this map. It's Wab in there with a double pulse. Look at that dart here, the old skewed happy. Right, it's just done away, hit it. There's eternal fighting.
Summer Showdown may have ended, but the Happy Genji skin is still bringing the summer vibes. You can grab this Summer Showdown legendary skin for just 200 League tokens. Don't miss your chance to slice and dice in style. And I don't know about you, but I'm still feeling the heat from summer. We might be officially in fall right now, but this has been a spicy matchup, Matthew. So many different tanks picked, but also the last moments of that last map were just, oh my goodness. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And again, London very clutch to end up winning the round. Paris almost won that map with a significant deficit in final blows, but here's Khan. I think he finds a two-piece here, Matt, to set this up for his team.
And I mean, this is deep. This is deep into OT. Like, we're, you know, probably a minute or two into overtime at that point. There's that two-piece there with Shax and Hottie on the point allows everybody else to make a comeback here for London. And you kind of see the winning moments there as they get the cart across the line. You saw Cry when we were actually on the cams, leaning back in his chair. You can see it just kind of takes a lot. I mean, out of players with how intense those type of moments are, as London has found themselves up 2-0, chance to close it out here. But this series has been really tight, I think.
Oh, I mean, a quick aside, as Dove gets subbed in here for one. Obviously, Dove, a player who we saw show us a fair bit of that hit scan prowess when he came into this Eternal roster. You're the London Spitfire. You see what's going on at Paris, right? You know that they're sort of, making some changes. You are using Backbone as your Zen player at the time. You see Khan as a free agent, you snap that off. You absolutely get him into your team. What a difference he's made from the very get-go here, right? Another dimension to a London Spitfire team that's already showing a ton of depth here. I mean, this is a legitimately frightening team.
Oh, absolutely. I think getting Khan, we talked about it last stage, how impactful it would be, but it's obviously, it kind of falls a little bit on deaf ears when he's not playing, right? They didn't need him to play the Zen there. But this is why you do it, right? The meta changes so fast. You need a player who can play Zen. You don't have to put one of your, flex DPS, who you clearly want to play DPS, right, with Backbone, in that role, and you're able to sort out this, pretty glaring issue with the team, which could be massive come the end of the season, right? If Zen continues to be played.
Paris, I really quite enjoyed their take on sort of Eichenwald. It is obviously, a bit of an odd map in terms of what comps it can sort of dictate. There is no way. There's just no way. This must have heard us talking about Roadhog here. Let's Spitfire here. So they still have Hardy, obviously, on this Winston, right? Now, having access to the Winston means you can do, they're pretty dirty, sort of spawn camp defense hold here. That can force your opponents sometimes to have to, use a TP to the high ground and sort of force this off. We could see Mercy with the Ashe pairing here for Paris. That would be quite curious, yeah.
And London decides to just not play any D.Va, right? We've seen teams opt to play some D.Va. They have to just play the Winston instead, play from the high ground. So, let's see what Paris decides to do. They'll have...
Yeah, you have to do this.
Yep.
Wait.
Okay, gonna go low ground here.
Oh, interesting. Okay, variation on that. Crowy can't really pull anyone down to the low ground, and oh my goodness, he just gets ranched there by Backbone. And maybe Shax was involved there? Yes, it was both of them.
I also think
solo there is a thonker.
Well, Dove is also up on the high ground here, where maybe they were trying to bait the TP. They think of more players would take it and create a sight line for Dove, out of the spawn. He gets hit with a biotic grenade right away too, so
that's true.
Maybe that just doesn't work out to plan there.
All right, Dove finds the shot, gets rid of Backbone here. Wasn't even... It was assisted nicely, of course, by the Discord Orb. Dove want to play it slow and steady here and clear a lot of these angles as he tries to approach with his team. He knows his backline's about to suffer a bit of scrutiny. Very quickly, Hardy just gets out of his way. So Paris are able to move up here to a degree. I'm curious to see if the Spitfire try and catch them setting up on this high ground, because they're all going together.
Yeah, so they've gotten some payload progress, and now they opt to rotate back around, play for this high ground.
Oh, no.
That biotic grenade is so sick.
What a setup from Khan. Dove.
Yeah.
No idea what hit him.
That's a few times throughout the series. I mean, we talked about it with the Sombra and, you know, play with Khan on the Ana and being able to get those biotic grenades. I mean, that time doesn't even need the hacks, right? Just putting so much pressure on the high ground just with those biotic grenades.
Oh, Dove, nicely done. So coming back out of spawn, he catches Backbone just sort of strafing left to right on the high ground. Yeah, nicely done. Again, because the Eternal have this Orisa, they can still advance even in a player deficit. And they have been doing so. Shax eventually gets rid of Dove again. Malthor knows that he has a big opportunity here for a stick. Gets it. Oh, it has to be a nano for Landon.
It's a nano, yeah. It's so interesting, though, how they just want to avoid the Orisa, right? As the Karch's moves here for the Paris Eternal, they opt to actually just go back and fight Dove as Rack Attack gets the nano here. Nano Transcendence is looking good for Paris on offense.
Oh, no!
Well, they gave up so much progress, dude. Like,
yeah.
London let them take that progress to go get Dove, and then, like, by the time they got back, like, Paris had, like, almost gotten it to the end, and then also had ultimates available. So, surprising, but not entirely surprising there that happens.
I don't think you can fight Orisa with this London comp, right? Unless you, like, yeah, okay, so Cry was on his own when he got hacked and just got blown up here. Dove just sneaks around and gets a solo kill as far as we can tell. And it feels like London have to try and work around Crowley, but he's not allowing them. He's not giving them that choice. He's constantly putting himself in the line of fire in these fights. Rack Attack's already picked off Landon here. And look at this high ground for Paris. They're trying to make best use of it here. I think Hardy got speared as we saw Crowley just descend from that high ground, but this hack on Dove means he's pretty much done. Hardy has a lot of health and probably wants to try and contribute in some way to this fight, but instead it's to the high ground he goes.
Well, I tell you what, though, Dove has done tremendous on this map coming in. And he's been able to pick up Backbone a few times, and then now we're going to see the Soldier 76.
Mobility, I think he's fancying. He's sick of getting caught out, I think, by sort of hack and sort of bionic grenades and such.
Yeah, they have been diving him, and he obviously doesn't really have that much help, so maybe the Soldier just be able to get out a little bit on his own. But, dude, he was so impactful on the Ashe. Like, even if he's, let's say he's dying, right? But he's able to get whether it was Backbone or Shax first, and he was getting them pretty consistently, right?
Here's a switch.
You'll take that attention from the rest, but maybe a little bit more of a change here is Cry goes over to the D.Va, so they did this on Eichenwald when they need to get control of the high ground.
Yeah, obviously D.Va can't do too much except go around the outside. This time, into the courthouse is Dove. Contesting the card here when they can are the Spitfire. Hardy's going to get the nano, looking for the back line, but straight away, look at this. Great defensive setup here for the Eternal. Krawi is slept. So Hardy would be able to get him without being redirected, but he opts not to do that now. To disengage, and I don't know if Luke Mino realized that the Spitfire was sort of backing up on this. So Krawi's nano, really just some decoration to light up the streets as they advance. And they are advancing, let me be clear on that. 2 minutes here. Great little nano, rather biotic grenade. And Dove's able to find that kill on Shax with a Helix rocket.
Yeah, no, can they actually take the second checkpoint? Maybe Backbone is able to live and you come out of the spawn here with an EMP, or they decide to give it up. Yeah, Sahadi going to be nowhere close to coming back. So it'll be London making the switch, Landon over to the Zen now. So we've seen him play a little bit more Zen today in certain compositions here with Khan. So, what, 3 minutes to get it towards the end? I mean, this is pretty good for Paris.
I've got to appreciate that we are seeing the return of Soldier 76, right? Someone who featured heavily in the kickoff clash because he was kind of broken. He's very powerful.
Well,
but yeah, great to see him back done.
Yeah, it's a big EMP here. You imagine some kills following this up. Primal. No. This is not the spot you want to be in when that Primal comes. He was very strong early on because of the DPS passive that gave the speed with the sprint, right?
The guy's counting
sick
backwards.
prediction, yeah. Without that kind of bonus speed, I think still sprint and being able to just move players along pretty strong. Right there, gets hacked, killed instantly, is still pretty strong. I think, though, is Soldier the best hit scan option? I mean, you think about Ashe in certain situations and Cassidy. at this point, Soldier may be it for, you know, kind of what you need to do in terms of hit scan, especially if you're going to try and play a little bit more aggressive.
1:51 on the clock here. Paris have done well to make it as far as they have. We have, dare I say, attack visor, pulse coming up here. Maybe even a nano visor. London here, playing a dangerous game, getting Shax and Hardy up so close, but they're able to get rid of the mouthful here. That was actually defensive. Landon staves off the Tracer. Now the Eternals' offensive options becoming sorely limited. Dove doesn't have the sightlines, but still wants to go for this tactical visor. Okay, pushes up. Hardy's bubble obscures some of him and prevents some of that damage. And, well, didn't even read his own because Luke Mino gets absolutely punched by Landon.
Yeah, just nothing, right? I mean, no sightlines there with the visor. Sort of like, I think when I was just talking about like how you kind of value the hit scans, and yeah, let's be Dove with a switch to Sojourn. Like Soldier's ultimate, I think at this level of play is just very easily dodged unless you like kind of combo it with like a nano and really get him into the mix. Where you look at like somebody like Ash, right, with Bob, where Bob can at least be used as like an off angle, take space, move an objective. Where I think Tac Visor may be a little bit lackluster.
Mouthful for a moment dueling. Shaq's doing what he can to slow things up, and make no mistake, he's doing a decent job. And Krawi there just slaps him back down to earth. Translocate out for Backbone. So offensive pieces off the table for the next moment for the Spitfire, and Rack Attack is able to find Backbone as he made that translocation. He's been caught a couple times coming out of Translocator. Landon, a little, yeah, quite far forward of Hardy's bubble there. I guess this is why. So in like a 4v5, they're going to go for the Transcendence. Here is Backbone as hop, skip, and jumping back into the fray.
And you're going to have a nano boost here for the London Spitfire. You can probably use this on Hardy. You're getting very close to an EMP.
Oh
some
my,
good ultimates
so
here. Oh, and then the recall to dodge.
Oh, he's so nice. Unreal. And yeah, not much Luke Mino can do there. Hardy was coming for him. The Sojourn switch for Dove. Nano boost as well for the extra durability, but it's not going to stop you when Hardy comes to play. That's the end of the line for the Paris Eternal.
Still, I mean, I feel like we've kind of talked about this throughout. Like, they're pretty good on Ilios for the Paris Eternal. Good push by them on Eichenwald, and a good one here on Dorado. Can they hold on defense, though, right? Like, that's kind of been the thing here, where they've not been able to hold very strong on D.
It might have something to do with their choice of composition at times, though, as well. Like, again, if you have like an Orisa run at you and you have to switch to some sort of poke setup, think back to Eichenwald, right? They switched over towards like the Zen Ana setup, and Hardy had to sort of sheepishly work his way around the Orisa. A little bit hard to slow the cart when the very thing you're trying to ignore is the one that's actually advancing the payload. I'm curious to see how London operate around that, because yeah, Krawi is adamant that Orisa is the play. And what is so interesting about this is how opposition teams deal with it, because she just cannot be dueled. She just can't. You can't fight her head-to-head like that.
So, do you think London plays the ball here? Like, same type of compositions that we saw on Eichenwald?
Well, if you're trying to circumvent the Orisa and pressure backliners, I suppose it's all right. Pop them up, give Backbone some decent sightlines on them.
Yeah, and I guess do you play the ball because you believe the ball's a little bit tankier than the Winston, right? To be able to go up to the high ground and make those type of plays, because that's ultimately where Paris is going to set up, right? They're going to set up there on that high ground. As Dove will see some Widowmaker play here, so that's quite exciting. As I think we've seen some Widowmaker play, specifically on like Junkertown, but that's about it.
Hey, you think this is more in Sparker's wheelhouse? Mr. O'Neill isn't quite fine purchase with the grappling hook. Generally an ability that aims for you, but I digress. Up he goes. Mouthful. Glancing blow. Oh my, there it is. No healing for him, I guess. Paris weren't able to top him up there, and Backbone gives him 2 body shots and a wave goodbye.
It looks like they just back up, and maybe the message doesn't get relayed, but nobody within line of sight at all to be able to give any type of heals. So now you've decided to play this choke if you're Paris, which is slightly dangerous because you basically give yourself one chance at this, and oh, that's like a biotic grenade, Discord, and then a headshot there from Backbone takes out Cry. Yeah, but you mean you gave up so much space, you're only going to have this one fight here.
So what do you think about how London works around Krawi there, Matt?
Like, what do you mean? How they worked around him? Like,
yeah, like
what,
pushed
past it?
Yeah, like well, I mean, they eventually had to deal with him, but the way they did it, I thought was quite impressive. This is obviously just a sleep dart, which Orisa is pretty susceptible to, and you just wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's... You see they switch right off of it, where I think that is kind of the way you have to play around the Orisa, and I think more teams will probably copy a little bit what we're seeing here from London today is still very strong to be pushed into. It almost is like weird, Mitch, right? Like, remember, like, Orisa, I think, in Overwatch 1, you'd think of as, like, a very defensive tank, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It almost seems like she's way more effective on the offense, because, like, she becomes very difficult to avoid, right? Like, you know, the offense can set the pace way more with her, as opposed on the defensive end, it seems like when she kind of gets posted up, it's very easy to avoid her and kind of like take out everybody else.
It's been a difficult map for Mouthful so far. Oh, nicely done. Rack Attack's down, and yep, Backbone. That Recon Visor are able to see exactly where to pop the crosshair. Pretty good showing on Widow so far. Doesn't have to be full of flair, just needs to be somewhat effective. Lugmino maybe not aware of Hardy's positioning here. They're taking cover because the Nano gets deployed, but it's not a visor for Dove. Switching off the Widowmaker now to the Soldier. And Mouthful, okay, there it is. Finds his third, gets landed with that Pulse Bomb. Hardy looks like he's just getting out for now.
Yes, I mean, the car gets very close though to getting on through, right? I mean, even though he's able to, is Hardy going to make it out? I mean, he's, okay, and they get Crawley out of this as he was in, I know, the Baby Diva form. Can you actually make a play out of this? Because you have Hottie and Shax here up on the high ground. Like, can you get there fast enough? Maybe lay a minefield, at least get a pick before Crawley gets in position?
Oh, looks like they saw Backbone coming here. Oh, they top him up, and Rack Attack just holds the line. I guess he assumes that Backbone's going to just give up the angle because he takes damage, but he's being healed.
I thought he assumed that he probably had Defense Matrix help there, Rack Attack, right? Because Crawley was up there on the high ground.
Doesn't last forever. That's the sad part about it. Dove doused in the purple liquid. As Shax was picked off there at relatively close range by the Helix Rocket, and Hardy realizing that just the mines is not enough to help him get the card over the line. So this gives Dove an opening now to flank, pressure. Yep, Khan just gets flattened, and a beautiful two-piece there from Dove. And it really,
easy kills there.
It doesn't have to be complicated, right? He just wraps.
Where is Backbone playing from? I mean, he was able to get one from that position, playing out there on the bushes on the side. Not able to get another one, though. So Dove controlling this high ground has been beneficial here for the Paris Eternal. For the London Spitfire, you'll have the Infosight here, right? And you'll also have a Pulse Bomb, as Shax has been so good with those Pulse Bombs. Probably, are you looking at Rack Attack? Or are you looking at Dove? Like, who are you trying to get this one on? I think you probably have to have a good idea that the Zen has the Transcendence. So maybe you're looking at making a play for the Soldier.
Rack Attack's in trouble. He doesn't seem to think so, and maybe he's right. Hardy just opts out of that one. Oh my, not ready for that damage. Looks like Shax barely reacts to that one, but I jumped. Expect to see so much get thrown at him now. So we're down to 1 minute and 50. London are cutting it close on the attack again.
This has been a good defense for the Paris Eternal. I think better than Eichenwald, especially because they haven't had to invest many ultimates into these fights, right? You have both support ults, you have your self-destruct to get Crawley and your mech back. You're in a very good spot here if you're the Paris Eternal to potentially win this.
Oh, there it is. That's dirty. And the Nano to make sure Widow can be a factor. Backbone hoping the D-Matrix isn't up by the time he chooses to go for the shot. Lugmino still respecting Backbone as he's no longer counting on the defense matrix to be in his way. In a position to get some free damage. They think he's moved. Yeah, I think Paris were positioned assuming Backbone had backed away, but that wasn't the case at all. Has to be a self-destruct here from Crawley, but he can't get back in the mech. The explosion goes off, no one's there to see it, so did it really even happen? And Backbone has a nigh unassailable high ground position now.
Well, you are going to have players coming back, as you know, Lucamino did. Oh, I was going to say putting some pressure on, but just a little bit too far out. Is
there it is.
Backbone on the Widow.
Crawley now looking a little haggard on the point there. Dove gets a body grenade defensively employed, but Landon says one Dove's way as well. He's very low. Orb of Harmony trying to keep him alive. Rack Attack does very well there to stay alive. But Landon just wraps the corner. Finds the kill. Backbone is down. Crawley's still a factor here. It's a 1v3 and Diva's hard to deal with like this. instant recall there from Mouthful. I think he attempted a pulse bomb. There's a transcendence here for Khan. Crowley drops out of the mech straight into the path of an orb. And here come the London Spitfire now. They like to keep it interesting, Matt. 15, 14 seconds left in the round. Mouthful takes a faceful. He's going to try and hide behind the car for the time being as Shax has a pulse bomb. Time to deliver it.
He's got a Harmony Orb on him, though, and then Hadi will drop the minefield here on the point. So, it gets a D-Mech. That's huge.
Dove's got great positioning on the high ground there. Lennon has the biotic grenade himself, but things aren't going well for the Eternal elsewhere. Can't look like it's going to get across the line, and with Mouthful falling, there'll be another checkpoint here for London.
That play from Landon, though, was nuts. Rack Attack so low around the corner, new. Obviously, an important kill there on the Zen. Has the soldier there with him. He turns the corner, sleeps the soldier, kills Rack Attack, and then with the help of Khan, able to kill the 76. They get the Transcendence. They don't even need it to take the point. As this has been brutal for Paris, man, because like realistically, they played well enough to win a series like this. And there's still obviously a chance to win this map, but man, some back-breaking fight losses here.
Landon has 8 final blows on Yana. The guy is getting involved. 43 seconds left now. Decent amount of time for London to work with. Hardy hit with the biotic grenade there, and Rack Attack strikes. That's his 7th. The support's really getting involved, but yep, that's going to be too much pressure. Backbone gets to him. Rack Attack, by the way, still kills the Tracer in a 1v2.
Yeah, and he wants to hold on to the Transcendence there. That'll be the nano used here on Cry. He wants to push on in. That's going to force the Transcendence out as they get Landon.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad for London now. Transcendence without the honor in play. Hardy again up to the card, realizes he needs the rest of his team, and there's 10 seconds left in the round. This one is going to the wire. Hardy may have to touch here. There's not a lot really the Spitfire have in position. Shax will get there, picks up a mini health pack to save in the recall at this time. A big pulse bomb for Shax could be a fight turner. Tough to get in these situations with Krawi on patrol. Shax is hoping just to drain that resource and go for it, but Dove is there with attack visor, and he should be able to put this one to bed. Minefield on the card, and that'll be cleaned here by Rack Attack and that Transcendence. Lovely stuff from the Paris Eternal. Great defense, and we're going to 4 maps.
You scared me a little bit when you were like, oh man, we've seen Paris in these situations before they had the advantage. I was like, they have to win one of these, right? As they pull it out here at Dorado on the end. As I know Dove's tac visor was definitely impactful. We talk about like tac visor here a little bit and kind of like how difficult it is to use. Right there in those situations where they're forced onto the payload outside of the cover, it's able to make really good use of it and get a win there for Paris.
Nice looks for the Paris Eternal there. Some really bloodthirsty support gameplay. Landon had a fantastic map, and you've got to say Rack Attack stepping up to the plate. Doing such a good job of dealing with Tracer and Sombra often at the same time. That's what you want to see from the Paris Eternal. That was a map for individual flair. Don't forget it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if map number 4 has that same level of daring play. Well, the second of consecutive staunch defenses by the Paris Eternal finally is converted into a map victory on Dorado. A strong start for the Eternal, making a lot of use of that Orisa play, and Krawi showing flexibility, moving to the Diva. And when it counted, the backline of the Paris Eternal, they dealt with all comers, staved off that Tracer Sombra dive, got themselves a well-earned map win, and have stayed alive in the series, Matthew.
Yeah, and now we go to New Queen Street here for the next map in the series. And I think it's interesting. No subs coming in for either team here. Hottie, probably see them play like that Winston-based comp, right? Not entirely sure, like, push and New Queen Street suits Wrecking Ball, but possibility. What do the Paris Eternal decide to do? Do you try and play the Orisa? Maybe it's kind of a situation where they can't really avoid it. You can play a little bit more aggressive with the Orisa. Or do you just come out with the Diva look straight away? I think Paris has a lot more options here.
Yeah, maybe when we're dealing with dynamic objective game types, i.e. the objective is moving through the map, then Orisa might be a pretty solid pick. Dove, though, speaking of picks, the Soldier 76 switch came later in the round, and that's definitely what gave him most of his success. Goes 13 E-limbs, 8 and 5 there, final blows to deaths, and finding himself into really nice positions, flanking very effectively, and he had to. He had to sort of outdo the performance of Backbone on the Widowmaker, who was looking very, very scary at multiple points in the round. Very large variety of different heroes, a lot of hit scan in that last map. He's staying in.
Yeah, and he also started off the map as Ashe and was able to pick up a few kills right away. Like, got Backbone two, 3 times there on the Sombra, who was able to pick up Shax. Like, was just maybe a little bit too easy of a dive target for Paris's liking. So, swapped him over to the 76. Looked pretty good on it. I think you can play the Soldier here on New Queen Street, where like, then it becomes interesting, I think, from the London Spitfire. We've seen Hottie play what? We've seen him play the Winston, and we've seen him play the Ball. Do they have anything else kind of in store, right? Do they have a Junker Queen type of look? Do they have a, dare I say, a Reinhardt play, potentially, right? Like, I think this is way more open than I think, obviously, the Summer Showdown was, where I think there's, like, tons of variation in comps you can play.
We've seen teams take like a Junker Queen into Orisa matchup on some maps.
Yep.
This week so far. Curious if that becomes a factor here. With London Spitfire, again, humbled a little bit because their offenses involving Wrecking Ball have been difficult. It seems like they don't want to play Orisa, which is fine, but when it comes to like trying to have impact in fights and actually play the objective when Orisa makes sure she plants herself on it, it seems like it's been rather difficult to have high impact. Without just removing her from the equation first. You remember, like, back on Dorado, Matt, they're able to sleep Krawi on the Orisa, and then just everyone just blows him up instantly. But outside of that, really hard to kill. The base health and armor getting increased here, just, the extra durability goes a long way for the Orisa. Let's see what we get, though. Wrecking Ball is on the menu once more for the London Spitfire. All right. In Paris. Okay, they have Krawi on the Diva.
Yeah, they played the Soldier 76 right off the rip, so interesting to see here from the London Spitfire, the Wrecking Ball look. How did they decide to utilize this? As
there's no neutral now, right? That's the thing of last tournament.
Yes. There's not going to be a neutral here, but like, where does Hottie gain the elevation from? Kind of going deep, right? There's lots of different like areas players can hide. I don't think it's a very easy task to play the Ball here.
Oh, that's cheeky. Dump. It's a lap tap. Up on the high ground as Krawi was hacked there, desuited by most of the Spitfire getting involved there. Nice little tech there, Hardy. The pile driver right in front of Dove, but not enough damage there. Remember, Wrecking Ball definitely needs help in picking off those targets. And Matt, London picked off the Diva, and yet they don't feel confident going forward as far as we can see.
It's difficult. I mean, they've had Shax like in numerous maps, right? Like, he is the one controlling the objective here because Hottie has he can't really just sit on the bot. Needs to be playing aggressive. As can't actually get a kill and keep Landon alive there. That's massive. You're gonna see it. Yeah, you're gonna start to see the bot moving down.
Now the back line is down. Pile driver there to make it so Krawi couldn't escape. I'm not sure if that was a plan for Hardy, but it looked pretty darn good from our perspective. So the Spitfire play a pick-based comp, with the flankers, but it's really calm. It sets up those opportunities alongside the hacks of Backbone. And now we're on the move.
In this area of the map, may be a little bit better for London, right? You can kind of like use the large building here to get the grappled and like launch yourself in deep here as Hadi. Like where the beginning of the map here and like that neutral phase, probably at the worst part of the map for the ball. You see those still, they have Shax. He is the one in control of this bot.
Khan, another pick.
Khan
This
again.
time it's Mouthful. I mean, this is what Rack Attack was providing to the Eternal on their defense on Dorado. Khan been known to be able to do that as well. There's a reason why his last name is Udge. Here's the Bionade on Shax. He still seems happy to stay in the fights, though. Doesn't connect the Pulse Bomb. That was wayward, and now Dove gets to run roughshot over them here with his tactical
I
visor.
refuse to laugh at your
Beautiful
Khan
rocket.
joke.
Oh, I didn't even give you a window for it, Matt.
No,
There was no
you laughed at your
there was
own
no-
joke, which is
No,
like
I didn't
even
I didn't
sadder.
laugh.
You did.
There
You
was
giggled
no
a little
pregnant
bit.
pause. No,
There's
no, I
a
was
little bit of a
laughing at
giggle there.
laughing at the Pulse Bomb missing, you know? It's kind of funny.
Well,
Not funny.
definitely sound like you laughed at your own joke, but Backbone here, in position here, up on the high ground. You're known to laugh at your own jokes.
I'm laughing at you
It's
now. Oh, that's a nice EMP. Good
what do
follow
you
up
do
there,
here
Hardy.
for the supports, right? I mean, there's no
you just
defense
chalk
for
that one
that.
up as a strike. Yeah. Reset the bowling pins and go again.
So you didn't get the checkpoint there if you were the London Spitfire, but pretty close. And then you also have the ability to use this minefield coming out of this, right, on that corner and to be able to definitely secure it. Maybe you kind of force out that Transcendence in the process as well that Rack Attack is building up towards.
Mouthful going to contest the bot pretty early here, so London actually get nothing out of that fight with. Although they seem pretty happy to play around this part of the map specifically, right? Just because of what it offers, I think, to Wrecking Ball in terms of that, that tunnel over the middle part of the map. When we start to wrap around corners, Hardy has less options for like using a grapple in more neutral territory. Has to sort of throw it up into a window on the other side. So perhaps London want to contain the game to this part of the map. Seems dangerous.
And it's so interesting to watch where Hadi is like playing from, because this is not a map that you think like the geometry of it and the layout really suits the Wrecking Ball, but being able to just roll in up there on the high ground, put some pressure, really doing a nice job collapsing with Backbone. Oh, Shax, look at the movement, man.
Love that. He is slick, and the pressure is immense on Luke Mino. Eventually has to succumb. Not before he gives out the nano boost, though. Dove is the one with that. Now Visor gets him one. Shax goes down there, but Rack Attack's already fallen, and Khan, I mean, it's inevitable. Late in the fight, he's been playing up on that high ground, and he's just picking people off at a distance, but
Paris has gained
bot-
progress throughout all of this. Yeah, Mouthful has just been running the bot down. It's not a ton. I think it's like, 6 or 7 meters, but still some progress gained there from the Eternal. So, dude, but Paris, this is going to be a tough fight. Pulse Bomb, EMP, Transcendence. How do you come out on the winning end of this one? I almost feel like you have to take it early. You're almost going to kind of concede giving up this checkpoint here. Yeah, you see Multiple get on,
You
just
don't
stop
wanna.
the bot real quick.
Although London, though, yeah, again, they want to sit back on this a little bit. Until they find a peak, until they start to decimate the backline, they don't really feel comfortable advancing. Maybe they're respecting the Zen a lot. The EMP should be the starter's pistol for this. Yeah, Defense Matrix was there for Shax, that Pulse Bomb, no connection. And Rack Attack, again, defensively, so good at dealing with these dives, right? That's another kill for him, makes it a 4v4. And Crowy doesn't seem to be bothered. He can step up and contest the bot, make sure no one sneaks in a checkpoint gain under his nose. But he's worried about Hardy and what Hardy can do to Luke Mino. Hardy, meanwhile, he's already back on the bot, mate.
Yeah, he was in a really rough spot there, Crawley, as you see like fire coming from both directions, Hadi in his back line. I think what you saw there especially is like London, moving into that part of the map, right, where they back up, like Paris wants to take the fight there. It's a great angle for the Soldier 76, right? Has some high ground, being able to shoot down, no real answer, not really great for Hadi to access that. Khan able to get Rack Attack here and not have to use any of these support ultimates, and now just pushing on up past the checkpoint.
Yeah, inch by inch here. On a Spitfire. Don't need a huge advantage, just a solid one. Hardy playing mostly on the flank here. Bouncing between those health pack locations, I like that. A little bit of cheeky tech, gets up on the high ground, forces Dove away from his biotic field. But will in turn have to leave again. That Orb of Discord is something you must respect, especially against a soldier comp.
London in a real spot, Mitch, to potentially run this the distance. We saw the Dallas Fuel do it the other day. Yeah, with this comp as well, I'd be love to, have the desk, somebody interview them after to kind of talk about this wrecking ball look as, man, that's a nice minefield.
There it is. Okay, so they get what they want. So it's always the back line first. They just want to make sure healing's out of the picture, and then they can get aggressive. Then they can deal with Krawi. Frustrating to play this way, because Krawi would love to peel back, man. But in doing so, he gives up the bot. He can't be a presence there. Very, very difficult for him to sort of do both things at once. And in a one-tank game now, as Overwatch 2 is, these are decisions you're going to be confronted with, even playing at home.
So the tech visor comes out, and players dodge this. It's going to be tough to be able to deal with Hottie, right? There's so much HP. So you don't get anything with the visor, but Rack Attack being able to take out Shax, that's huge. Now you can get the bot going in your team's direction. Nice biotic grenade there as well, Lucamino.
Yeah, we're north of 100 meters of progress, though, for the Spitfire, which should be the most concerning part of this for Paris. Now, again, the checklist involves just getting this butt scratch first, right? If they can secure that, it means that there is the option for a run in overtime that won't get derailed by the bot standing there for a few moments. But look, same issue as the previous fight, right? They're running into a backbone EMP. That's the one that tore apart their backline. That was not a stick, and Rack Attack's already down. This is, EMP now from backbone to set that up. Krawi gets a nano here, but backbone is slowly going to work on individuals across the map now. Khan gets nano, will have to transcend to stay alive.
Yeah, but you kind of think that's an okay look, right? You get the nano on a Khan, he puts down some damage, he's able to stay alive. Rack Attack's still holding on to the Transcendence. I think it's pretty difficult in this meta to decide, like, when is the value in using it, right? Not like a clear opportunity to do so, as I know maybe if they kind of push in, some early damage down on Rack Attack, Dub switches over to the Ashe. So interesting. They started on this at the beginning of Dorado and moved away to it for the Soldier, but maybe with some of the sightlines they're playing from now, they think it's more advantageous.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? What does it offer you against Sombra Trace of pressure? A little uncomfortable to deal with that, I think. I'd love to know the reasoning, like why you switch at this sort of point in the map here. Yeah, maybe feeling like he just doesn't have enough lethality as the Soldier, right? Maybe too much consistent damage, not enough of those peaks and drops. Khan's removed. Krawi makes the dive. Nice looks here. Krawi combining with his teammates up into that tunnel. And here we go into the last minute of New Queen Street. Paris need to show us some real fire. Hopefully backed up with the dynamite of Dub.
Oh, it's tough though. Under a minute. You got about like 80 meters or so to go at this point to get close. You haven't gotten the checkpoint. You need a lot to go right here if you're the Paris Eternal. You're looking at, you need a cheap fight win, right? Maybe it's a multiple pulse bomb that connects. And then you're looking at like 2 fights after that probably to be able to take the lead.
Mouthful proving hard to shift, but the only player currently on the bot. It's a tough job. Krawi, self-destruct here. De-suited at a pretty inopportune moment, so see no bomb for him. Pulse doesn't quite connect there from Mouthful either, but Backbone still has to get out. He'll hack that health pack to get it back a little quicker and set up his escape plan. See, Lucamino on the Baptiste has that Amp Matrix up now, maybe to combine with Dub. There could be some pretty nasty stuff coming from the hit scans here. Immortality Field is annoying for Backbone. He has to get rid of that. Krawi is able to survive. Okay, hero switches for Paris now. We're starting to see why they happened.
And this is actually doable now for the Paris Eternal. You're going to get this checkpoint, right? You pretty much have to be perfect from here on out. You're going to have an Amp Matrix and your Transcendence, so it'll match the other team's double support ults. But you have the Bob in play. Bob in that off angle could be a real nuisance here for the London Spitfire.
The butt scratch, though, Matt, they didn't get it before overtime, which means the bot is doing nothing right now. Nothing. Yep. It's just agonizing sitting here as the attacking team who needs to catch up, and you give them so much time for the Spitfire to get back in position to fight. Let's see what happens. Hardy gets nanoed, but he's playing from the fringes of the fight, and Bob just rolls Shax over, so they're back up. Amp Matrix was enough to tell London it's time to go away.
Yeah, they had the Bob on a little bit of an off angle here, so still a ways to go. 30+ meters to be able to take the lead. No ultimates now available. If you're London, do you just end up using the Transcendence, just going out there fighting, looking for a pick?
Yeah, Rack Attack's down. He used Transcendence. He had to use Trans in the previous fight. He was being pressured in a similar manner. This time, he didn't have any contingencies left. Shax quickly running back for some healing. This is 4 players for the Eternal left. The Spitfire are taking their time. Dub gets strips torn off him as he's hoisted into the air by that pile driver, and that's it. Slow and steady wins the race for the London Spitfire. No undue risks taken. That previous fight, they lose a player, see 2 support ults used, and they back out of it. Now they come back in with the advantage and close the series out.
Yeah, so London Like, this is a tough series. This is not the Paris Eternal we've seen, recently, right? I know last time. They looked really strong today, and London had to work for this series win. This is a good one for London, getting a win in Khan's first game.
Khan 7-3 in that last map. Pretty insane performance. Mouthful, unfortunately, on the Tracer map. Here's the issue. 0 final blows. Just cannot find any value. There's no easy kills on main tanks, or on tanks rather, for him. He spends much of his time trying to contest while Krawi is looking to peel back and maybe get aggressive himself. So, again, some synergy to be worked on there between Mouthful and maybe Krawi, just to make sure that they can actually dive those same targets, get the Tracer involved in more of this fighting. And again, if you let Khan, be unpressured by Tracer, sit back, that's why he has 7 final blows, right? Gets to spend much of that round sitting from long range with the Zenyatta and being very punishing. I'm a real big fan of this Paris Eternal backline now. I'm going to put it out there. Luke Mino and Rack Attack, especially Rack Attack, extremely good under pressure. Being able to win out in a lot of those situations. Reminds me of Violet on Zen at times, right? Someone who could always turn the tables on like a 2v1 where like you're getting dived by highly mobile DPS. So that's a player to keep an eye on going forward. But let's talk about our player of the match here for the London Spitfire. I look really happy with a lot of the performances across this team, but for me, it's going to have to be Khan, Matt. He's the one that saves him on Eichenwald with those 2 huge kills and looks pretty ferocious for most of the map in general. And a great combo with Landon, who has one of his best games when it comes to playing Niana as well.
Yeah, I don't think you can talk about how good Khan was in this series without also talking about Landon as well. The supports for the London Spitfire today were so good, and I think adding this Zen, we talked about it, in the previous tournament, in the Summer Showdown, although we didn't see any Zen. Like, hey, this pickup of Khan could be big later in the season when you see the Zen come into play, as Zen always creeps up eventually, and today, Khan was actually incredible here as we take a look at some of his stats throughout the Zenyatta on the match. 6 final blows on the Zen per 10 minutes. Really huge, and then also keeping low on the deaths. That just says, Landon doing a great job being able to keep him alive as well. And also a little bit of extra on it, right? As Khan used to play for the Paris Eternal, gets a little bit of revenge against his former team. I thought Paris, played really well today in a loss, the best we've seen from them in a while. I believe with that loss, that knocks them out of playoff contention, or play-in contention.
Eliminated.
Yeah, mathematically out. Still though, I think this is a team that can, you play like this, you can definitely play spoilers to some of these other teams who thought that, hey, we have an easy win on our schedule throughout this stage. With the Paris Eternal, it's not going to be that easy, as they looked really good today. And
I'm looking forward to actually seeing how the take of this team evolves over the course of this metagame while they still get to play through the Countdown Cup, because we're seeing a lot of Orisa, a lot of Diva from Krawi. It's been really interesting to see how that plays out and how it tests other teams, right? I feel like the Wrecking Ball, setup is really put to the test against some of these compositions we saw from Paris. So London definitely not getting a free pass. There's a chance that 2 of those maps in a row go the way of the Paris Eternal. So impressive stuff from Paris. London, though, will advance. They're still looking like a legitimate threat now. They're going 12-7, I think. So definitely a play-in hopeful. Stick around, everybody. More games to come today here. Countdown Cup qualifiers already starting to heat up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Watch Point Break, and I am here with Backbone from the London Spitfire, getting a 3-1 victory over the Paris Eternal. Congratulations on the win. That was a lot closer than I think a lot of people were expecting. Was it closer than you guys were expecting? They seem to have some interesting plays with, you know, a little bit of Ashe, a little bit of D.Va. Did that catch you off guard at all?
I think this type of meta is a really easy meta to drop maps. I don't think they were much better than we thought they'd be. But, you know, you make a couple mistakes and the entire map can just fall away from you, which is, I mean, it nearly happened on Iconvolt 2 before we got an insane clutch. So I don't think they were any better than I thought they'd be. No.
Hey, interesting. That was the world's longest fight I've ever seen on that bridge on Iconvolt, and not a single person got booked, which is the surprising thing of it all. So I did want to ask you a personal question about this series. We saw Sparker come in the first map on Ilios, and he played the Sombra, and then you came in to play the Sombra. What's the difference? What's the strategy between you two coming in this meta?
You know, he's just a bit of an egomaniac, I'm not gonna lie. He's meant to play the entire time, but after the first map he was like, this is too easy. So I had to come in last second, which I'm not sure what's up from him with that, but no, I mean, honestly, we kind of just swap it back and forth, depending on certain maps, depending on if we think hit scan or something we need to be played, or things like that. It's just where we feel like, really.
He should check on his ego. I saw the Backbone Widowmaker on Dorado, and it's looking kind of spicy. Sparker should look for his job, you know. You're coming for him. So I wanted to follow up. So London Spitfire, they're known as a rush team, even when it isn't almost the most viable. I was expecting to see a little bit from you guys. Is it because it's just not meta, everything else is just too strong with Sombra coming back, or is it just you didn't have the map pull for it in this one?
It's not the best meta for the comp. I mean, we always try early on to force it in a couple places to see. I feel like I've got a good idea of where it's playable and where it's not. So there's not zero chance we'll end up playing it, but it's not a guaranteed. The meta isn't in a spot where it's like we can 100% force it in certain places like we used to be able to.
So you're saying there's a chance. That's the most important.